Pirates. That's the theme of the season this time around. Welcome back to Erico Blueberry, an unassuming Destiny podcast. My name is chillybin.
I'm your resident scallywag, Meckii.
Yes. It has been 3 weeks, I think, since we've done an episode. Life got in the way, and then I think, what happened last week? One of us was sick or something came up. I don't remember. There were legitimately...
The raid.
Yes. Okay, we will get to why then, because that both very valid reasons. Not normally we would miss the beginning of a new season as I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But we're here now, and that's all that matters. I'm also, having recently had to completely reset my PC, I had to install OBS before we started this. I'm fairly certain all of the settings and clips and overlays I had in my video editor will be gone, so I'm gonna have to set those up from scratch. I think I haven't checked because I'm afraid. That's so yeah. That's gonna be my weekend. Is basically
time for a rebrand.
Yeah, well, I've still got like all of the thumbnail stuff that I use. It's in Figma, so that's in the cloud. That's fine. But like all of the little overlays and shit I'd built. They weren't much, but I didn't have to do them. Now I have to basically do it all over again, I think. I'm going to find out tomorrow. I also gave 824 milliliters of blood and plasma today.
Yay!
So I'm feeling weird. I went back to the office afterwards because it's like just down the street. I had 1 can of alcoholic ginger beer and played some Mario Kart, and then I flew home.
You're just like, woo!
It wasn't all, I wasn't that gone, but I was like, oh yeah, no, I definitely feel this 1 can. So it was a cheap night out.
Inspired by a recent cycle for immune defense.
Something like that. I was like, because it's the first time I've donated blood, because like I was in a cycle of like getting tattoos, which means you couldn't do it for 6 months, which is now 4, which is good. But then I would be doing sport in the other half of the year, so it was always like reasons not to be that easy for me. But this time it was like way less demands on me that would mean I shouldn't do it. And so I went down with a bunch of people from work. I think it was like 10 of us from work, made a corporate booking and did all the stuff. And when I was like signing in, they were like, "Oh, we're doing a big push to get more plasma in. Do you want to do plasma? It's a longer session." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." Having not done it before, I didn't know what to expect. Just means I was in that chair for like 45 minutes, and on the TV was just news and. Not a great day for news.
Blood goes out, blood comes in.
Yeah, blood comes back in with bits out of it and saline instead. And they showed me how the machine works, and it's fucking rad.
And you make the blood piss.
Yeah, wait. You should see a doctor if that's happening.
Pee-pee bag for your blood.
Oh yeah, that stuff looks disgusting, dude. Oh. But yeah, so that's it's a good time to talk about video games is when I've like drained
and a reminder to Guardians to, if you're able to, donate.
Yeah.
Blood products. Marrow, plasma. Men can also donate platelets and whole blood.
Yeah. Yeah. So and it's weird, like the Lifeblood, the Australia Red Cross part that manages all the blood donations, they have an app which is actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It already tells me my plasma donation is in their system. My blood type is showing up as unknown because they haven't like processed that. They'll need to check it.
They'll tell you, that app will tell you when your products have been used too.
Yes, which I'm like weirdly excited about, because that's always the thing for me is like, I like the idea of, donating things I can spare. The idea of organ donation is really good for me. But given that I'm alive to see my blood products get used, it's nice to know.
And plasma goes into a lot of treatments, and it makes a lot of medications too.
Yeah, sick. All right, I'm doing my part.
Yeah, so plasma is used for cancers, but then also burns and infections. Preemie babies get plasma.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, it's how like they can use it to make a whole bunch of medication. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't donate blood because I have a very rare blood type.
Uh-huh.
But I can donate plasma because I'm a female with high hemoglobin rate, and plasma is pretty much universal except for some instances. And because I'm AB negative, I can give to A negative, B negative, and AB negative, and a whole bunch of other things. And then also my type of plasma is really good for pediatric care as well because it's high in hemoglobin.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about video games, I guess.
Yeah, video games.
Yes, given that it's been a few weeks, we have missed some big stuff. So we've got the showcase that was right before the season launching. We've got Lightfall stuff to talk about. Obviously, season of Plunder. Is it Plunder or The Plunder? I'm pretty sure it's season of Plunder.
Yeah, I don't think they ever add the.
No.
I think it's just season of singular.
Season of the Worthy?
No, season of Worthy.
It wasn't season of Worthy.
I reject your reality.
It doesn't make any sense.
Substitute my own.
Anyway.
This is the narrative I'm going with.
We've got new season to talk about. Then we've got some stuff that we have done in the game since the new season dropped. So, given that it's been, well, a few weeks since the showcase and that, why don't we just like rapid fire some key points. I'm going to show this here again. You've seen this, but the people at home haven't. There's my notebook, and I was just
green in all capital letters.
I had you in mind when I wrote that.
Green.
I was just like randomly scribbling down here on my desk while we were in a voice call at 2 a.m. for us watching this together. It was actually a sick time. I really enjoyed that. The next day for me at work was rough, but
yeah, same.
The price we paid. I can just like read through my list and then interject.
We'll discuss it. Yeah, let's go. Send it.
All right, pre-show, touching AF. The next line is Steve Saylor, can I be your friend? Steve and like 4 other community members, they actually like flew into the studio, got them on stage talking about like what the game means to them and community stuff. And Steve obviously being a very visible advocate for blind people playing video games and all that sort of cool stuff. And it was just really wholesome for like an hour. And then all the little panels that they sprinkled in there and staff members and yeah.
They're like, from what I saw, their marketing team seems like such a delight.
I mean, everyone there seems like a delight.
They all do, yeah. But like, it was nice seeing a different department other than developers. It was nice that they involved marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah, my main man Joe's still rocking that mustache, although I'm pretty sure he shaved it off based on some Twitter photos, but that's neither here nor there. Where else are we up to? Oh, I wrote here 5 community members, dream blunt rotation. It just seem like good people to hang out with. I don't know whether or not they're into drugs, but like, I would.
They seem like a vibe.
Yeah, it was a good time. Trivia during pre-show was mid. I don't know why I've written this, but the upsetting. I think that was the name for like it was like one of the wrong answers where the right answer was the collapse or something like that.
Yeah.
No, it was the upending, the whole disciple Rolk witness thing. And they had the upsetting, and I just really like that. The upsetting is what my body's going through right now. They also did a whole panel of people that were fans or streamers and then have become staff in the time since. So like T-Rex was on there, and obviously he walked in with his fucking world's first belt and just was like, look, this is what this is actually like. It's sick as hell.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, I've never actually seen one. It was very cool.
Yeah, that was very delightful.
Then after that was basically straight into the actual Lightfall trailer, which is why the next item here is, you saw it in all caps, the word green, and then next to that in smaller letters, Strand, which is the next Darkness Power. It looks fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Also, that trailer, like, it was way more, I don't know, like cinematic and dynamic in the way that the Guardians were moving around and More than I think we've seen in the
Yeah.
past. You know, like all the Witch Queen stuff was all vibes and like tone setting, and this was like, no, I'm gonna show you us fucking grappling hook off some shit.
The Witch Queen trailers, the way I kind of equate them is kind of
Well, that was Void 3.0, right? So if we
yeah.
saw gameplay, it was mostly that.
But it was like Bungo are very good at setting a mood for each expansion. And the fact that you were playing like detective and connecting the psychic detective, they were calling it, and like connecting the dots. The trailers for that had very much like
mystery.
Like yeah, like a detective film energy, but then they also remind me a lot of like those like army and SWAT based films where it's like the group have to infiltrate the building to take down the they had that energy where they were slow and metered and paced and the music was the same. Whereas this one is like sci-fi action adventure, like
so like shout out to my Magic the Gathering fans. This one, and I have mentioned this to a couple of people who also play, is like Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, like a set from the beginning of this year, which is all like Tokyo but brought forward to like cyberpunk future energy.
it's got like
it's like
synthwave,
samurais in ancient history Japan, but in the future.
It's got like synthwave, Tron,
yeah,
vaporwave, like 80s. What the 80s thought the future would be like, energy, and I am here for it.
Yeah, and
Tron is one of my favorite movies. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes.
Yeah, the thing for me is like they had, I think last year they showed like not concept art, but like what I thought was going to be box art for Lightfall, which was like the triangle in the middle with the circle behind it, and it just had like Lightfall in a font similar to Witch Queen. And then they have just fucking thrown that the fuck out, and here's this font that looks like the Buzz Lightyear font, and it's all like weirdly futuristic in a way that just was not at all what I expected.
I feel bad that like the trailer had just finished and I just go, that's a Buzz Lightyear font, now you can't unsee it. and you and Alex just went, oh.
Yeah, but we also, in that trailer, just to keep this moving because we're not even halfway through, we saw
Callus in a hot tub.
Pretty sure for the first time we're seeing actual Callus
in a hot tub.
Yeah, I mean that was, but that was also like that small clip. It seemed like there was a lid on it that was closing, and he was sinking down into it.
Flesh Callus. I don't like him.
Yeah, but like what I'm kind of the direction I think that might be going is like he's the second disciple of the Witness, right? So is that him going in to undergo some sort of transformation to, I don't know, take on some other physical form or attribute as part of that?
Oops, it's a prank, and he's just going to end up in Rolk's museum.
Oh, that would be sick.
Like all the cabal who are frozen in the glass panels
and the worm that got chopped up, and oh man, that would be different.
Oopsies. But yeah, I was like, oh look, it's Callus. But like, I didn't want my first experience of Meat Gundam Callus to be titties out in the tub with the boys. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's like, here's Callus, just titties out. Yeah. Just vibing in the tub. And I was like, ew. Yeah. And then they kept cutting back to him, and I'm like, ew, stop it.
And they showed like the Callus's forces, essentially.
Like his legion. And
they
got new...
Shadow Legion.
They got new drip.
Yeah, it's like purple and gold, and like it looked like just purple plate armor, but with like a matte finish to it. It looked actually fucking sick.
Yeah. And then there's new enemy types, like big, bulky enemy types they told us about that are like
which I've already
tormentors.
Forgotten. That is it. I have it written down.
Where they're just like OP. Yeah. They're I feel like they're gonna be like the Briggs. Like the first time
you against a Brig, that was fucked.
Briggs and
Wyverns?
Hive Guardians?
Oh
where the
yeah,
first few days that you encounter them, you're just getting walloped.
yeah,
And you've just got to figure out while you're trying to level how to maintain that longevity when you come up against them to slowly whittle them down.
dude. That Beyond Light day one first brig drop in the first few missions, and you're just like,
Because
oh,
the
I can't do shit to this.
brig dropped on me. That was my first experience of the brigs.
Yeah, it's the new drop
Was
pod.
running a public event with you guys and then just being brigged and me being like, what happened?
Yeah. Next bit. They revealed we're going to Neptune, or rather Neomuna. Neomuna? Neomona.
Yeah.
Neomuna.
Neomuna.
Neomuna. Which is super interesting because like they've kind of described it as there was some civilization that went there, or some race that went there, and they've basically been hidden for ages.
Completely untouched by the Traveler's Light. They've evolved on their own terms, and
Yeah.
it's so funny how they were left to evolve on their own terms and progress on their own terms, and they are so much more progressed.
What is it? Is it that they were left, or that they chose to?
I think
Leave
they shrouded themselves, and they just haven't had anything to do with the
I guess
Traveler.
we'll find out.
But it's so funny that they were untouched by like the collapse.
Yeah.
And they're so far advanced, and then you look at Earth and then the other civilizations and you're like, oh, maybe the Traveler is meddling a little bit.
Who can say?
It made me rethink the Traveler a bit.
Immortality is a trap.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've got the Cloud Striders, which is their like Guardian equivalent, I guess. But also, Cloud Striders is both a sick name and could just be a euphemism for Skywalker that is legally distinct from Star Wars.
Yeah. I find the interesting thing is they're that group of people's answer to the Guardians. And they only lived 10 years, they were saying in the showcase.
Right. That's
so they don't have they opt to shorten their life to protect their people.
Right.
And they volunteer to do it. It's on their own volition, whereas Guardians are forced into it.
Those Cloud Striders,
they look dope as hell. They look real tall.
They can get it.
Daddy, do the steppy. Actually, don't do the steppy because you're technically 10. No, thank you.
I don't think they really showed too much of them, except to say that like we're teaming up with them or working alongside them, as opposed to like having to fight them. Because I think introducing another enemy type would be just too much.
Yeah.
Grappling hook. That's actually my next note.
Grappling with green.
So, like, the interesting thing to me there is they explained a bit of their design process, which was, it was initially a hunter tool, because hunters are all mobility based, and then they were like, this is too much fun, we want everyone to have access to it, and now it's like, there's these nodes throughout the world that you can just use with the strand grappling hook. But
they also showed Prison of Elders clips where someone grappled onto the train and was pulled along by the train. Yeah,
so I wonder if it's just a thing that shows up anywhere if you're using Strand as your subclass.
Mm.
Like if it's just built into running Strand,
like a deep sight prompt almost. Like it's just there and interactable if you want one.
So like deep sight was specific to the Throne World, but this would be more like, I don't know if there is an equivalent that we have right now of like an aspect of a subclass that like permeates the entire game. So it's very cool.
Interesting.
But yeah, when that fucking clip of the dude tethering the train in that strike, I was like, no, you didn't. That's fucking irresponsible.
Bite him in. I'm about to grief so many people from our clan.
Yeah. I cannot wait for chicanery.
I'm about to be the most annoying.
What next? We spoke about Tormentors. They mentioned legendary campaigns coming back because that was such a massive success with Witch Queen. There keeps being I keep seeing articles of people speculating that they're going to get rid of power level with Lightfall, I don't know if I buy that yet. Until they start talking about like the power grind in TWABs and events, I'm not buying that just yet. I could see it happening because we've got activity difficulty levels that basically specify how hard things are, and the power level is starting to feel a bit redundant. But yeah, I don't know about all that. But Legendary campaign is back. There's kind of two parts to that, right? Like, obviously the challenge is fun and exciting and people enjoy that, but it was also really valuable for that like new raid grind for the power level boost that it gave you. So that's where like that conversation about getting rid of power level, I don't know how that fits with that. Like, unless there's some other thing it's giving you that gets you raid ready, or if they take power levels away, then getting raid ready is not a question of power grinding. It's a question of like, do you have loadouts? Do you have mods? Have you unlocked artifact mods that will work for you in time? And then you're playing contest mode anyway, so like it's going to be that same difficulty level based on that difficulty setting. So like, it actually could work. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. I don't know if I buy it. I don't know where people are getting the idea that it's happening, other than the fact that it just feels a bit redundant as a system. But they haven't really said anything that suggests it that I know of. Anyway, that's Legendary campaign. They spoke a bit about onboarding and the new player experience, and this idea of Guardian ranks is what they're introducing. And this is the interesting thing for me. T-Rex, ex-community member, ex-streamer, the I'm going to space man, I'm in space. What he works on is social systems. I don't know if that's the exact right terminology, but these next couple of things are things that he went to Bungie to work on, right? So Guardian ranks is like essentially an achievement system that shows people in the game that you know how the systems of the game work, and so you can teach people.
Yeah, and I've seen it in other games. Overwatch had something like a very vague version
the
of this
commendation system, right?
Yeah, which is this Guardian ranking system / feedback system is commendation based.
Yes,
you can
that is part
say
of it.
that someone's good knowledge, friendly. I think the other one was like you good teacher, stuff like it, you have a list of things that you can commend, and then when it comes to, because the LFG is,
I was
but we'll
going
get to that.
But like commendations tie in with like, as you go through that onboarding experience as a new player, you're essentially ticking a bunch of boxes to say you know where Crucible is and how to get to it and how to do it, and then that shows up in that system next to commendations. I think that's how it works. But you can click into someone and be like, oh, they know how to do Gambit really well because of these things I can see on their profile. Maybe I'll ask them to help me be a dredgen.
And then there's a bunch of community feedback available on top of that as well.
Yeah.
Which people are like, ooh, but I'm like, for the bigger clans, like Hogan's Heroes, that have 6 different versions because they cap out
at 100.
At 100, it's like, for those bigger, more popular clans, that's a useful tool because that could make you more viable to approach for new lights, but then also maybe other people in your clan that need help doing things, or are just looking for a reliable group of people to run dungeons with. And those commendations make you more approachable. They also could inadvertently work as a little bit of a warning system too, because if you see someone who isn't getting feedback that they're friendly or patient or a good teacher, it's like you kind of get a feeling of like, maybe not.
It does also depend.
Obviously, later in the commendation system's life, like,
it also depends if people actually engage with it to begin with. Like, the PS5 are taking out their accolade system, which was supposed to be something like that at a system level, but people just weren't using it. Because I don't think they did a good enough job putting it in front of people's faces and making it incentivized in a way. But yeah, I mean, we're just gonna have to again get it, see how it like functions within the game. If it's too annoying, are they gonna tweak it? I don't know.
It's something to do on that mission end screen other than sitting there.
Exactly. Give someone a thumbs up, fucking whatever. Hopefully it's just a quick little thing. Not like a full-on survey, like fucking how's my driving? Sick, thanks.
Survey monkey link pops up.
God,
no.
No thanks. I had something that I was gonna say, and now I'm forgetting it. Yeah, I think the other thing too is like it's not just with that clan-centric kind of view in mind. It's also like if you're a new player and trying to like approach people in game, not something I've ever done, but I know people do this, is they're in the tower and they're like local chat something, or they go and just like message someone because of something they've seen maybe on their Guardian profile. It's like, hey, I can see that you've done a ton of raids and you've got these commendations for like Sherpa raids and teaching and being friendly. Could I get a hookup to that at some time, right? Like it's another way in for new players or people that are playing by themselves to potentially find groups in that more social, like ephemeral way that doesn't require you to get on some LFG system and like sign up to a thing. It's like, oh, I'm just going to message this dude because it looks like he fucking loves Crucible and I'm bad at it but want to be better.
Which ties into the other big thing T-Rex is working on too.
In-game LFGs, are you kidding me? So sick.
Yeah, which is why I think the commendation system kind of...
Yeah, I think they're all going to tie
It felt like one
other.
of those... It felt like one of those things where they were like, okay, we're going to make LFGs internal. Like we're going to start doing that within the system. But we also need to have a measurable way for people to recognize other people's hard work or avoid people that they might not gel with for certain reasons, or and just you ran a really good raid and someone the rest of your team packs you full of commendations.
Exactly.
That feels good.
Yeah.
Like good.
Yeah, I think
that'll
be really cool. Because like I know that there are like public LFG servers and I've never fucking touched that shit because all I've seen is bad stories about people who have the wrong idea about how to run an event. It's like, oh, you need to know what you're doing. You need to have these exotics. You need to have these things and all these requirements. It's like, I just want to hang out with my homies and do a raid. And I want to find people on that level.
We're both part of one, which I won't name for now, that seems pretty good.
Yeah. But they've like set it up very intentionally that way. It's not like the fucking main public Destiny LFG server. I'm like, I'm never joining that. Get out of here.
No, thank you. As a woman, no, thank you. It's just not worth the danger dice on that one.
Next one. I'm pretty pumped about it. I feel sorry for the people at DIM, in-game loadouts.
I'm still going to use DIM.
Yeah.
I'm dedicated.
Like, it is certainly more efficient to do that shit in-game. I imagine after that came out, DIM had a word to Bungie. Like, I mean, obviously DIM has plenty of other features, but that's like a pretty big part of why people use DIM and tools like it. There's other things that do the same thing. So there's still value there for sure. But yeah, in-game loadouts will be fucking good. I have been thinking this week about putting some loadouts together, mainly because of like the 3.0 reworks. I've basically got a build I like to run for each of those subclasses for my main. And I want to just go and actually put in the work to set one up. But now that in-game loadouts are coming in like less than 6 months, I'm just going to wait. Like, what am I going to put all the effort into figuring out how DIM does it to then go and have to learn it all over again in-game?
I've just been making them because I've been telling you all of the pun titles for my loadouts.
That is very fun. I do enjoy that. I do the same thing in Diablo when I create loadouts and save them. I have to give it a stupid name. What else am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
Then, next chunk was all about this season, which I guess we'll get to in a bit. But Season of Plunder, the Drifter just fucking popping up and going, pirates! And it was dumb. Like that's obviously from a cutscene in like the first week of the season, but they just cut him saying pirates out and jammed it in the middle of the season trailer. So stupid. In the best way. King's Fall was the reprised raid. A lot of people kind of picked that one. We'll talk about that soon.
Me crying when they announced it.
Yeah, audibly sobbing in the Discord with the homies.
It's like the moment I saw Crota's hand, I started crying.
Oryx?
Oryx, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Fake gamer.
Yeah.
Fake gamer girl. But yeah, the moment I saw his hand, I was like, just started sobbing.
Yeah. The last couple of notes I've got are real quick. Basically, the idea of campaign sunsetting is now itself being sunset. They've said they're not going to do that again. Then shitty people took to Twitter and said, well, can I have Forsaken and Red War back? And the answer is,
no.
You really don't understand why they did that in the first place, do you? Read a book. Or a twab. I don't know.
Should have just taken Shadowkeep and left it there.
No, you've done it now.
I was forced to do it.
Get a very good exotic for Arc 3.0.
And I barely use it now too, because I found a different build I like.
Oh well. Last note I had
delete my character and start again.
Don't do that, you psycho. Last note I've got was that Osiris is shown in a lot of the promo art for Lightfall. So I from that was expecting that between now and then we will start to see him re-emerge, and then in the seasonal story so far, there's been a couple of voice lines of people asking how he is, and I think Saint saying something like, he's getting there, but not great. So they're slowly building him back into the story, I think.
Plot twist: he Freaky Friday with Savathun. It's just Savathun again.
The story of the Witch Queen makes no sense because that would have actually been Osiris.
Oops, all Savathun.
And that's basically the showcase, unless you had anything I forgot to write down.
I thought the concept behind Strand was very interesting. That it wasn't corruption. I think a lot of people saw green and thought corruption because
it looks like Thorn and Osteo.
Striga, Thorn, and Necrotic Grips. I think a lot of people assumed corruption was going to be the green subclass. But what it is, they explained it, is you're reaching in between dimensions.
Yeah, or like the energy.
Pulling,
it was like the energy between things that you're pulling on.
Yeah, and I was like, Death Stranding, hello?
Yeah.
You called it Strand, and now you're talking about reaching in between dimensions and pulling the connections.
You know this. When Death Stranding was coming out, Hideo Kojima said, it's a Strand game. That's the genre. It's about the connections between people and things. Surprise, Destiny 2 Lightfall is the second Strand game.
Well, with all the community connection stuff they're installing in the game, and then they're having Strand.
We're going to rebuild America.
Oh, you talking about game crossovers, you missed one of the most important announcements of the showcase, which is Fortnite
and Fall Guys. Destiny
and Fall Guys.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, Destiny now available on the Epic Store. And then
you can get Destiny skins in Fortnite and also Destiny skins in Fall Guys.
I don't play either of those games, so I didn't actually note it down, mostly because I was laughing my ass off as soon as that happened. I couldn't write
Zavala in Fortnite.
And this is also, like, that all dropped, like, the week after Goku and all of the Dragon Ball Super shit fell in there. So you've got, like, Zavala shooting a Kamehameha at, I don't know, Iggy Azalea or some shit, and then hitting the gritty afterwards. It's just...
And Travis Barker's there playing a live show at the the memorial.
Yeah. I don't know how to... I've never played Fortnite, so I don't know what to think about any of this.
It's dystopian.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it feels like a fever dream.
So here's the thing, right? Like, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole because I fucking hate all of this shit, but when people talk about the idea of the metaverse and shit, meaning that you can take game assets from one thing and put it in another, the only way that happens is shit like this, which is the result of really complicated and long legal negotiations, and that's what it looks like. Fortnite is the idealized version of it. It's fucking crazy.
It feels like someone gave a Monster energy drink to a 12-year-old boy and said, "Tell us what your tell us about your dream game."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, Goku's there." He said, "Dragon Ball, Naruto, Demon Hunter,
Destiny,
Ariana Grande, Marvel, Keanu Reeves."
The other game that is kind of like that, have you seen this? Multiverses? It's a platform fighter from Warner Brothers. So literally every IP that Warner Brothers owns is being put in this fucking thing.
Yeah, I got to watch
So weird.
Batman pummel Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Yeah. And then I'm in the FGC community. So I don't want to know about Tasmanian Tiger's punishable DB back. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to know about Wonder Woman's frames. Like, I don't need to know about Wonder Woman's in between frames. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The best thing, like, go and look this up later. The patch notes. It's like, have you ever read patch notes for The Sims? Yeah. It's like that level of cooked, where it'll be like, oh, Sims can no longer set themselves on fire while making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's like, you have to read it and go, I'm imagining this as a real person could have done this before, but now can't.
Oh, well, Foghorn Leghorn can't clip into the fucking map any longer. Like, okay,
Velma
good.
can no longer summon agents of darkness. It'll be some weird phrase that just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Wonder Woman's hitbox got fixed. I'm like, cool, great. Glad I know that.
Okay, anyway.
And there's a Tekken anime now too. Like, the world is unhinged. Hey Archie's got a glizzy. Hey Archie rolled up with the blicky in one scene.
You've seen Hey Archie. You know he already had that motherfucking thing on him.
That mustache like strap.
That. No, please. That man is ready to fucking fight any day.
We were so tired that they saved that announcement for one of the final announcements.
And bear in mind, for them, it's like 9 a.m.
Yeah, we were all in hysterics over it.
And now the Fortnite bus is in the game.
I just finished crying over Oryx returning and my favorite raid returning. And I'm weary from laughing at myself because I'm audibly sobbing into Discord over a raid. And then all of a sudden, Akora pops up at Twisted Towers, and I'm like, did I fall asleep?
Bro, could we be pro Fortnite gamers?
Chug Jug with you? We could be pro Fortnite gamers. Jack's in Fortnite, and I'd play Fortnite.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the showcase.
But, like, I think one of the funniest things I've seen the community do with the announcement is all the people who sat on their name change. I'm now seeing Ikora from Fortnite popping up in the tower.
what a well-timed use of that one free change.
Ikora from Fortnite.
Okay, Season of Plunder. Let's very quickly talk about that because this is the third week. And there's piracy afoot.
I feel like they went, you've done the hard emotional labor. It's time to reward you with a trip.
Can I tell you? That's literally their intention. I didn't make note of who it was. I wish I had, but I saw someone who works at Bungie tweeting something to the effect of, the last 2 seasons have been fucking brutal. So we thought we'd give you a bit of a, break, a bit of fun. There's still some story stuff in there.
I described it to someone in a voice call the other day while we were running some expeditions. Without getting too dark, it feels like when you're an impatient and you have a really good 3 days of like intensive therapy
Mhm.
and you've behaved, so they reward you with a trip to like the ice cream parlor. That's
Ooh.
what it feels like. It's like you've done all the good work. You've sat through everything we need you to sit through. You've done all the therapy. You've connected all the dots. You've made some progress emotionally. Let's go get ice cream.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like. Let's go to the park.
Yeah. Just go outside. But yeah, we're basically we essentially get a pirate ship. I think it used to be Spider's, but it's now ours, and we're just fighting Elixni pirate crews, and Aramis is back, but we haven't seen her since week 1. She's out of her cage and she's feeling just fine, but we don't know where she is. She's in her lane, thriving, moisturizing, etc.
I think
That's
one of my favorite
about it.
things, one of my favorite things to come out of the first week was the spider going, "Holy fuck, Marasov is after me. Shit, shit, shit."
Mhm.
Contacting the drifter and saying, "Can you sneak me into the Elixni quarter? Because that's, I guess, it's sanctuary. It's like going into a church and pleading
I guess,
sanctuary.
but
You know
also
what I
she doesn't
mean?"
know he's there. Oh
Yeah.
well.
And I think in his head, he thinks if he's in Guardian territory, that maybe we'll protect him.
Maybe.
But Drifter did it in the most demeaning way possible.
Put him in a box.
Only for it to get intercepted.
Absolute buffoon.
I got the giggles when you hear his voice line come up and he's like, "Are you out there?" And the Guardian's almost like, "Yeah." The Drifter's almost like, "Yeah, I sent the Guardians to go get you." And he's just like, like you can hear him be like, "I'm never going to fucking live this down."
Yeah. Yeah.
And we meet
It's kind of fun.
Ido.
Yeah, Ido's back. Ido's just out here doing her thing. Very naive, very adorable.
Another Elixir for me to love.
Yes.
We got Varix, Mistраx, Ido, and every little Smolin.
Yes.
Every little Smolin.
The activity's kind of fun. Treasure hunt. You're just beating up a bunch of enemies and getting treasure, throwing orbs. Well,
Catch crashes.
Crash, not the thing we keep calling it.
A lot of fun as well. I think it was good to to pair with the whole like, hey, we're giving you a break from shit because like we understand the last couple of seasons have been emotionally intensive.
Yep.
The last expansion was emotionally intensive, where by the way they're talking about it, I think we're heading towards another emotionally intensive expansion as well.
Like they're heading to the end of the story and it's only getting worse.
You know, and Callus is like, "Hey, guess what? We coming for your bowl." And I'm like, "Please don't touch my ball." I think it's going to be a really rough season in terms of. Am I allowed to put like a theory I have out there?
You put it out there, just make it very clear that it's a theory and you don't necessarily think it's what's happening.
This is a theory I have with my rate of getting my theories right lately. I hope it's not true. I think we're going to lose the last city.
Yeah, I think there was some. Okay, no, I know where this is. During Witch Queen, Severin plays her 2 truth, 2 lies games a few times with us. One of them is the last city is not the last city, or something like that. So like that idea has been floated in game.
Yeah, but then there's also when you think about all the stuff to do with the Stranger and alternate timelines. And Eris in another timeline is the harbinger of, and it results in the city being lost.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, their timelines, it's Eris and Enabray.
Yeah,
but that's because they
dark future stuff, right?
They didn't get support from the people around them where the ones in this timeline have. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. Friendship.
Yeah, Strand.
But Strand. Yeah, I have a feeling that the last city is going to fall.
Maybe we'll just go to Neomuna. We'll live there.
Maybe.
Or the helm. We just keep adding more shit to the helm, and it's a flying fortress.
That was another thing that made me think about it too, because like all of our stores and resources could just be on the
They
helm.
could fit in there. We'll just put Shax in his own wing.
Fuck you, humanity. Guardians only.
Oh,
There's a little wooden sign on the outside of the helm.
It's kind of not the point of the Guardians, but whatever.
No humans allowed.
We're allowed one.
Yeah, true.
Humans.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun season so far. Activities are, I don't know, they're kind of not mindless, but like you can do them without thinking too hard.
It's definitely gone back to chat room with a gun energy, where you can just load in with a few homies and be like, hey, do you want to do some expeditions? Hey, do you want to do some crashes?
Yeah, and we have to mention Arc 3.0.
Yes.
Fuck, I'm having a lot of fun. I've gone back to old ways of playing a Titan that I haven't done in a long time, which was initially June marches, run everywhere, punch everything. But I have very recently switched to Heart of Inmost Light, which basically is use one ability, the other two get empowered and charge faster, and then that stacks. So like if I throw grenade and melee, then my class ability charges super fast. And so like if I just keep that cycle going and I'm running around, I'm punching and I'm like amplified, so that does like arc damage explosions and makes me run faster. And it's just, I mostly use my fists and a shotgun because it has ability, it has 1-2 punch, so it makes my fists do more, and that's my build. And Thunderlord is back, and it fucking whips so hard.
I went in a direction with Arc 3.0 that I didn't anticipate that I would, which was that I have well builds now.
Like elemental wells.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I never used to be an elemental well person.
They're surprisingly useful when you stack a bunch of those mods up.
Yeah. I've never been, I mean, different effect, but like I used to, before the big sun setting, before we lost Mars.
Mm-hmm.
I used to run pretty intense Warmind builds.
Yeah, I don't remember it too much because it was a while back and I've never
shit out Warminds.
Yeah.
Like, and then I played with light builds, like charged with light builds, and they're all right. And then I accidentally a well build the other day, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun," because like my favorite thing to do is to help my homies out, and I'm shitting out arc wells for our arc hunters, who have well dependent builds.
It's just more ammo for those, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is actually fun. I like this.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at how I can implement elemental well builds into the other classes now too.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to doing the same because I was looking at filling a couple of slots. I was like, oh, that one would actually be pretty helpful for this arc build, but I would need to run a couple of other well mods to really make it shine.
Yeah. And I've been fucking with blinding grenades.
Oh,
like the blinding aspect.
Yeah.
And putting that aspect on a storm grenade and just being like, have fun.
Blinding is really fucking good for high level content. Like when we did those first few duality runs, I was running a blinding grenade launcher because we needed that breathing room.
And then running like what I've got stacked is I've got blinding stacked on the stun grenade. So I can stun and blind champions.
Can you?
Or high levels. I think so, yeah, because I've got both going at the moment.
What do you get that off like a warlock thing?
Maybe, yeah.
Because like there's the
I think it might be one of the aspects.
Yeah, there's the flashbang grenade, which is a grenade that does blinding. But yeah, there might be an aspect.
I've applied blinding on my storm grenade.
Okay.
From memory.
Yeah, I mean I haven't opened my warlock yet, so I can't refute that.
Yeah, so that's been a lot of fun, and Arc 3.0 just went in not an entirely different direction because I'm still Chaos Reach, cracked out on Chaos Reach, but in terms of the other things I'm doing to supplement that, I went in a completely different direction than I thought I would, which is I'm not angry about because the the mantra for 2022 Destiny for me was working outside my comfort zone. So,
and that comfort zone just gets bigger.
yeah, boy.
That's it. I also, it's a smaller thing, but I've super noticed this, that when you're in that Arc 3.0 screen and you're editing things, like each of the keyword like buffs or debuffs has a symbol associated with it. And they've now done this for the other 3.0s as well.
It just makes it at a glance so much easier.
Well, it's one of those things that like I haven't internalized those symbols yet, so I don't know this symbol means like volatile or jolted or whatever yet. But if they're gonna use those symbols as a way to make better use of that buffs area on the screen above the super meter, we're gonna have to learn them, right? Other like MMOs do this; they have symbols to represent cooldowns for different things and whatever. But I could, if they're gonna go down the road of like jamming more shit in that part of the screen, then surely those symbols are a part of that, right?
Yeah, potentially.
I hope so. Because it's... But then, like, what if you need... I don't know. It feels like you also need something else to get that across if you can't recognize that symbol quickly enough. And, like, you know, playing Diablo on the PC is the closest thing I can think of, where, like, you've got all those little squares for your cooldowns when they pop up. But if you hover the mouse over it, it gives you a little text pop up. You can't really do that
In a first-person shooter, yeah.
So I wonder what they're going to do there. But they've got plenty of people to figure that out.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I just had a burp up out of nowhere.
Blurp.
Yeah, there's not much. I don't want to go too deep on the new season yet because we haven't seen much of it, and we've got so many other things to talk about. Also,
the story is kind of... I think it's needed, but this season the story is a bit of a slow burn to start with.
Yeah, a little bit. The first
but
3
I
weeks
think
just
that's
like, go and bash ships together. I don't know.
Yeah, and like, oops, we found some treasure. What's this about? But I feel like maybe towards the end of the season, because it is Mithrax and Ido researching a bunch of stuff.
Aramis is back.
Saint is off taking care of Osiris. Like, there's so many little things happening that I feel like that's what we need. And I feel like the last few weeks of the season, they're just going to be like, haha, guess what? Trauma. Plot twist. Yeah. Whereas like last season, obviously it was like, hey, you want to have some feelings? Opening cutscene.
Brutal.
Where it's just like, oh yeah, I'm the Drifter. I'm going to be drinking what looks like Vex milk and talking about pirate shit.
Yeah.
And Ido is like, what are pirates? And Drifter's like, you about to find out, bitch.
Go ask your dad. And her dad's like, no, you stay at home and read book.
And then Mithrax being like, Spider's back, Big Stinky's back, not happy about it.
Nope.
But there's also some discussion between Mithrax and Spider.
Yes.
Where...
Juicy.
Spider's like, you know what you've done in your past, Mithrax. Like, you haven't exactly been a great Elixir. I nearly said person. And then also the most important development in the Elixir quarter is the Elixir now have farms. They have garden beds.
They've worked out how to farm the Scourge of the past boss fight arena.
So they have garden beds now with hoes. And I like to watch them garden.
How many hours have you spent watching them do agriculture?
Sometimes I would just like leave the game running while I'm doing something else. And usually when I leave the game running while I'm doing something else, or while I'm waiting, like if I'm sitting in the tower waiting for you guys to come and do something, I'll just load into the Elixir quarter and just watch things and watch the Elixir. Sometimes I'll just park up next to an Elixir with kids because I think it's weird. I think it's so funny when occasionally a Smollen's little hand will just be like meh out of its. I think it's the funniest. I get so excited. I'm just like little hand. That's the most important development of this season is gardening and little hands.
I think another development I quite enjoy, which is the Spider just trolling every player with those shitty green gear drops that are not even for the class you're playing. That's so fucking goofy. The first week is like, yeah, sick. Here's this like legendary armor that's at level. The next two, it's like minimum power level, wrong class, shit tier stats, and a bunch of text about, haha, I guess the odds are not in your favor this time, or whatever it is. It's like a
Oh,
slot
young
machine.
warlock. Young warlock. Titan mark?
Yeah. Yeah, I got like a hunter helmet, and I was like, this is fucking trash, homie. Do better.
I don't even have a hunter. And he's like, hunter gear? And I'm like, motherfucker.
Stop it. What else is new?
Raid.
Kingsfall. So, the reason we couldn't record an episode last week, initially, perhaps naively, we had said, well, we're starting Kingsfall at 10 a.m. on Saturday. We'll just do an episode after that. The raid took us 8.5 hours on that Saturday. We got to the end of it. We were all fairly done with everything. And we just went, nah, no episode. So,
peace out, homie.
So instead, we're just going to talk about the raid now.
Yeah. It felt like the first time I ran Kingsfall. Just because it was one of those things where it took 9 hours.
Yeah.
And it had been, I think it was me and one other person in the raiding party that
had done it before, right?
Kingsfall before. And we were talking amongst each other as we were going through it, just being like, it is very familiar and very nostalgic, but it's also one of those things where it's tucked so far back in your brain that things about the encounters are only coming to you as you're doing them.
Yeah, on like the third or fourth attempt.
There were moments where I was in the raid and I had like almost like a flashback to sitting in my lounge room at 2:00 in the morning being like, oh, I've been here before. It just looks nicer now. Yeah. But no, it was a really good run, really good energy the entire run. Everyone was just vibing. Yeah. It was a very good first run. Yeah. Had a great time.
Yeah, it was so sick. Like, challenging encounters. Like, I saw comments about like, oh, this is how raids used to be, where like every encounter is just different. But it's like, no, they're still doing the same shit they do now of introducing mechanics and building on them and evolving them as you go. Like by the end of it, you're doing all of it. It's a step system. But it's also a big ass raid. Like there's essentially 4 or 5 encounters and 2 big jumping puzzle areas. Like it is just long.
It's a beefy raid.
Yeah. But it fucking whips so hard. Oh my god.
It's such a good raid too. Like, holy shit.
Doing that for the first time. Like I haven't even really like watched videos or anything of the D1 version. Like I've probably seen bits of it just over the years, but man, it's so good.
Some of those reveals are like even 7 years down. 7? Yeah, 2015 or 2016. Yeah, so 6 or 7 years after the fact. Even then, some of those reveals, I was still like, I knew they were coming, and I was still like, yes. Well, like also, when they happened, I was so like, excited.
They've rebuilt it all in the new, better looking Destiny 2 engine. Oryx just a big fucking boy.
Oryx looks fantastic in the rebuild. His model is amazing. He is like the first time I saw him in D1, you see the hand and you're like, oh. And then he just keeps coming. he don't stop. No. That's terrifying. But now that he's been retextured and given new assets and stuff, it's so scary. It's still very like I was cheering when it happened when we did it, but at the same time it was just like he's just so like foreboding and like gargantuan and just just the hand hitting, and you're just like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
And then the other one grabbing the pillar, and you're like, uh-oh. And then his big head comes up.
I feel like the only raid boss that's bigger, technically, is Riven. But you're never seeing that much of Riven all at once. Like, you just see the head. and the
If
little
Riven,
hands.
if Riven was given the same treatment as Oryx, like
Oh,
that
no.
same kind
No,
of like,
if Riven stood up. Like, like when you first load into the boss fight for Riven, like, you fall down past all of Riven. Right? It's huge.
She's just vibing though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like when you first see her, she's just like a cat on a cat tree. Like
Yeah,
she's like a gecko. Like she's just there.
When she pops up during that boss fight, you're only ever seeing the head, shoulders, but she's essentially like poking her head through. So it's like this.
Yeah.
Whereas like Oryx, you see this big fucking dude just hovering around the edge at all times. Hectic.
You can see right down to his little feet.
Yeah, and he's just like holding himself up by. I mean, he's floating in space, to be fair, so it's a bit easier. But he's just like fucking jacked, holding on, just like, I am hanging out here.
I like to think he holds on because it's like, you know, when you're in a pool and if you let go, you'll just start to drift.
Yeah.
He's not holding on to be intimidating. He's holding on because if he lets go, he's gone. Goodbye.
As you saw when we did defeat him, he just floats away.
It's so goofy.
Yeah, I love that they did that. Again, they could have done anything with that animation. Like, no, he needs to also drift off into orbit.
They give him like the Kingdom Hearts death where his like heart lets out a bright light and then he just disappears.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool.
Full anime shit.
As scary as he is too, I forgot how goofy it is when he like smashes.
Yeah, the plate. Oh.
I hate this one.
Yeah. I will say, so like I was saying before with my Titan arc build, it's a lot of run in, shotgun, punch, move around a lot. And especially with this new like Titan dodge thing that's going on, man, does that feel real good. And like some of those Kingsfall encounters are super like closed in. Like when we're doing War Priest, right? Splitting up into teams of 2, and then you've got like a couple of ad spawns, and you don't
sit
have a
on
lot
the
of
plate.
room, not a lot of room to move. So like just running in between groups of ads and just like shotgunning and punching. It's just like, it was actually so sick to have Arc 3.0 as well as Kingsfall. Oh.
I found that too because it was just really good to be able to like chain lightning between the ads on the ground or do continual damage with chain lightning or the storm or just even blind them so that you could pop the boomers up on the...
Yeah.
That felt really good. Just to be able to like wedge a grenade sidewards, like whoop, and then just pick off stuff. Yeah. Running Risky Bisky, like running Risk Runner in it was also clutch, especially when you're being crowded on the plate. Like,
yeah. I'm trying to think of like notable moments that I wanted to talk about here because it went on for so long. I think the only stuff that really sticks out in my mind is like a few aspects of that boss fight. So like, if you haven't done the boss fight, dear viewer, there's one point the final stand kicks off, and there are 2 more ogres that spawn in that drop bombs that let you stun Oryx, get a bit more of a damage window, right? So you go into damage phase for final stand, damage Oryx, pop one of the bombs, stun him, more damage, pop the other bomb, stun him, more damage. Hopefully in that you can do enough to kill him. What we were doing, I kept ending up with basically no ammo when we got to that point. But I worked out very quickly that those ogres that come in that can spawn the bombs, if I shotgun and then punch, because the shotgun has 1-2 punch, I'm almost one-hitting them just with that. So I can like solo one of those ogres easy. So what I was doing, we would kill both the ogres, bombs drop. I would just be like, you guys do damage, I'm gonna go hit those bombs, do the damage. Okay, I need to pop the bomb, done it, go back to the bubble so I don't die where everybody else is standing. And then I'll set up for that next bomb, hit it, come back, and then do what I can to contribute to damage. The first time we got all of that to work, we didn't kill him. We had like just that little bit left. And one of the folks in the team was like, and he told us previously, but like he basically had to leave in, I don't know, 20 minutes or something.
Mad Lad went and had a 2-minute shower and then threw on his clothes.
So this is the thing. He was like, I would have had to leave then to get ready to go out to do some stuff. And so he's like, okay, and I fucking love the suggestion. He's like, let's take a 5-minute break now. I'll go do that preparation now, come back, one last shot, and then I literally have to run out the door. Before that second run, I don't think we changed much, except I switched my heavy to Whisper of the Worm. Just so that what I did in all the damage phases was just more than what I had done previously. That I think was a good call, because I got a lot of shots off, because it's a huge fucking crit spot.
Yeah.
And you just spawn bullets.
I swapped out some mods to help with the way that Phoenix works as well too, so that damage being done inside my rift was recharging my rift.
Yeah.
So I actually dropped a few more rifts during that run as well too.
Yeah, but it was that thing of like, it was still really close, really down to the wire on that final stand, getting enough damage out. And I think at the end of it, we were all just like, I don't know, auto-rifling from a distance and just hoping for the fucking best. I tried to jump at him and hit him with a Fist of Havoc activation, but that was never going to work. It was just, I was fully out. I had nothing.
Just Hail Mary.
Basically. Like if I had Thunder Crash, I had switched to Thunder Crash for that last attempt, because I used that on a bunch of ad clearing. And I was ready. I was like about to run in and throw it at him, but then he just melted. Just gone. So fucking satisfying. And also the absolute king that like went and power showered for us to get that last rep, dropped Touch of Malice first run.
Yeah.
Like, deserves it.
the scream when he saw it. I'm so glad I was streaming that, because I clipped that moment of him just being like, I saw the piss engram.
That's right, piss engram.
Because we'd indoctrinated him into the concept of everything yellow in Destiny is piss.
Yeah. Piss engram.
And he just dropped it without hesitation. I was like, he's going to be one of the boys.
Yeah, that's
easy.
Actually sick. But yeah, like I've seen people I know get, sub 2 hour runs of Kingsfall already. I'm like, okay, sure, we will get there. This was basically 4 out of 6 of us doing it for the first time. And the 2 that had seen it, it's been a while.
It's been a while, and they changed some things up a little bit too.
Yeah.
And it just, with everything that's changed since 2016 and now, it felt it felt different.
Yeah.
It's like as much as people are like, I've done this raid, it was like, yeah, but we learned in Vault of Glass that
not quite the same.
Slight little changes make a world of difference.
Right? Like, oh, there's champions in a couple of encounters.
Yeah, but also like just the way it feels is different. The weapon sets are different. The way your subclasses interact are different. Warlocks don't have auto res anymore. Like,
self-res, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, in theory, but then when you actually get into it, and I had the same experience, and so did the one of our hunters.
Yeah, but
where we were in VOG day one, and we were like, oh, this feels familiar, but also very different.
Well, it's also down to like team and team loadouts and how those match up with each other.
And also going from console to PC.
Yeah.
Because I used to have to get up at 2:00 in the morning, fire up my PS4 to play with my old clan because they were all in the US.
Yeah.
So just the energy was completely different as well.
But yeah, Kingsfall. Then I went and dropped another like $200 on a ring or whatever it was. Because
I still need to figure out how I'm going to afford that.
It was more like 230 after currency and shipping. It's not friendly.
Kofi's in my Twitter bio. Feel free to help me get the ring.
Yeah. What do you got till the end of the month?
Yeah. Rip.
Yeah.
I'm really depressed too because it's like, of all the rings, it's my favorite design. It's such a sick design.
Yeah, they've gone from like signet ring to this thing looks like a fucking skull. It's
like a heavy metal ring. Like the kind of that's why I love it, because it reminds me of like 80s like heavy metal.
Like
or like
the inscription on the inside is like "Long live the king." Pretty tight.
Yeah.
Hits a bit different after today. I haven't really got anything else from the raid other than I think I dropped like 3 of the same weapon because I dropped it in the first encounter, and then we opened all the chests, and of course the chests only pull from what you've dropped, so I just got more of them.
I ended up with 1 million of the Chasm of Yule
Mine was
or whatever
the
it
fucking
was.
Chelchis, the touch of Chelchis or some whatever.
Yeah, I got that weapon and then just the cloak over and over again, and I was like, I'm gonna scream.
Yeah, the armor does look sick though.
Yeah, it looks really good in gold. Gold for pediatric cancer. Change all your armor to gold, or we're gonna fight.
That was our only other note, was gold for September. It was actually pretty sick to do that whole raid with a fully gold fire team.
It's been so delightful loading into stuff with blueberries and everyone is just gold. Or the other, I wish I'd screen capped it, but I didn't think. I was just like, oh. I loaded into a tower the other day and everyone in the tower was gold.
I've had that a couple
and
times,
they were all at the in front of Rahul, like that area where events usually load in.
Yeah.
Just having a dance party and everyone was in gold, and I was like, man, I should have recorded that because it's very sweet.
Yeah, I mean, like when they did that that emote with the dog, right? Like a lot of people got in on that, but you can't see it unless someone activates the emote. People are wearing like the brightest, most reflective gold shaders they own, and you just see that shit everywhere. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's like complete strangers, and you look at them, you're like, oh, okay, decent.
You'll load into the throne world and just run like a random public event. Everyone is gold. Like, it's so good. Yeah, I hope that kid's dad is like actively enjoying seeing all of the gold.
To see if like they've talked to him or anything. I would hope that it shows up in a twab towards the end of the month.
Yeah.
They go and talk to him.
Yeah, it's moments like that why I love this community.
Yeah, it's so sick. The only other note that I have this week, I've done my homework early this season.
Yes. Speaking of gold.
So as you may remember last episode, I gilded my dredgen last season with like an hour and a half remaining.
You had 90 minutes left.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of time to get those remaining wins. But last week, before this most recent reset, it was bonus Gambit rank points. So I thought, I'm just going to play a bunch of Gambit this week as I've got the time, and we'll see how far I get, how much of a gap I have left at the end. I didn't try too hard. I definitely put some effort in. And then I was sitting there with the gap between me gilding dredgen being 9 wins. And then I sat down one evening, and I did it. I've gilded dredgen for the 6th time in the 2nd week of the season, and now I get to wear this fucking thing all season long.
And you did it mostly in freelance too, which is the most impressive part. For me personally,
I find freelance wins a little easier to get, a little more reliable, because people are. So here's the thing: if I play like a selfish asshole, like the rest of the people in freelance Gambit, it tends to work out because, and I'm gonna toot my own horn, I'm pretty good at Gambit, but I'm also a productive team member in Gambit. Like, I know when not to get moats, I know when to let someone else do that, I know when to invade and not to invade, and I was just on form last week. I don't know how else to put it. I was running in, shotgunning, submachine gunning, just getting up in the guts. But I had also, like a couple days before that, we've got Charlemagne, the Discord Destiny bot, in our server, and I had turned I had turned on the alert for when clan members earn a seal or a title. What I didn't know, and I hoped, was that it counts gilding in that alert. And so, like, obviously the people that I was like hanging out with in Discord heard me say, I just fucking did it, go me. But then the alert pops up in the server as a message, and I think that's how you found out.
Yeah, I think all I did, I just went and checked it. I just responded with, in all capital letters, mad lad.
Yeah. So now I'm not going to have that like final week bullshit on my head of like, well, I got to keep the streak alive. Like I was talking to a friend on Twitter today. I was like, well, I did it as soon as you could guild dredgen, and then I just have kept the streak alive ever since.
Now we can focus on becoming scallywags.
I want that title so bad.
Me too. I mean, it's actually a title that I actively am trying to earn.
I want scallywag merch. I don't even know what that means. But I'm not about to start wearing bandanas because I don't think that is like my culture. This is, I don't know, something about it. It doesn't feel like it fits.
You're not a bikie.
I don't think there's any way I could wear a bandana
member
that doesn't look shit.
Wear it in the rockabilly style, like tied up.
I don't have the hair for that.
You could.
I could. I have just recently found a very good barbershop. They could probably help me grow out a pompadour. Not that that fits my aesthetic. I have anime tattoos. Like, no. All right, we should get out of here because I am starting to fade because some of my blood is no longer blood. I don't know how else to put it. For, I don't know, a week or two before it regenerates. I don't know how this shit works.
I drank a bunch of free alcohol at work on an empty stomach. So
you need to eat something.
I'm going to get McDonald's. I'm going to eat it layer by layer just to piss you and the people at home off.
All right, on that note, thank you for watching, for listening, for vibing.
For being here and continuing to be here. And I don't mean just listening to us. I mean in general.
Yeah. Thank you for patience as life got in the way a little bit of us doing this thing. But we'll be back hopefully next week unless something comes up. That's as much as I think I can promise. What
bone will I break this fortnight?
None. No bone.
What fresh hell will the stairwell deliver me this fortnight?
Alright, we better get out of here.
Yeah, I'm gonna get McDonald's.
I'm getting anxious about your health. Alright, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Kisses. Just a little kiss on the forehead. Put your forehead up to the screen.
Oh, you weren't talking to me.